If failure is of concern, you'll want to stick around.
I'm Alema.
I'm G, and this is Manuia Life.
Today we're excited to talk about the definition of failure and how that is to be used in the home. As we're setting up our home, we're setting it up to be able to handle all life's lessons. So what is failure? Well, failure in a lot of people's minds is some emotionally negative thing, something that should never happen, something that brings shame and disappointment. But that's not the way to look at failure. Failure really is a delayed success. It's actually a lesson to be learned from, and you keep on pushing. And so it's never final, it's never a fatal situation. Society usually looks at failure as one of those things it doesn't want to talk about or learn from. It actually wants to spend a lot of time on the successes. But if you were to ask many successful people, they will tell you that if it wasn't for the failures, they would not have ever achieved their successes. One of the great inventors of the world, Thomas Edison, he stated that it took him 10,000 times, 10,000 failures to learn how to create the light bulb. On his very next try, he created the light bulb. And what he says about those 10,000 times was that those became 10,000 lessons that enabled him to invent even more things. So these are lessons learned, lessons to be cherished that help mold you into a success.
When you set up your home to be patient with yourself and your children, you allow them the room to grow, and growth doesn't come through success. Funny thing is that it actually comes from you learning from things that don't work necessarily. So I appreciate our home being one that allows us to learn together. Our kids are not perfect, even though we talk like everything ran smoothly. It definitely was learning ground for all of us. And so I appreciate the support and love that was established in the home to allow for failure.
This home that we're establishing has to be a place of learning. So if the environment isn't a learning environment, and then you're being so critical on every single step, that can be impeding to the success and to the growth of your child. So as parents, we'll set it up in a way that they can learn in home and learn in a safe environment, to experiment, to try things, to fail again, have some successes, fail again, because we know that as they fail, they're learning.
Yeah, and it's hard, I know, with sibling rivalry, that if you have such high achievers that are big brothers and big sisters, yes, they set a wonderful role model, but they can also set a place where failure is not welcomed.
Okay.
And so it's wonderful as parents to set that example for your kids and to get out of your comfort zone a little bit, to continue to be a lifelong learner, as both of us have gone back and pushed forward with our degree. That spirit can be established by parents.
You know, I used to tell the kids, make all your mistakes when you're young, and make it as fast as possible. And, I was being sarcastic, but it was going back to the principle that we should always be ever learning.
Yeah.
It wouldn't matter whether we're a young child or we're an 80-year-old, 90-year-old grandparent.
Yeah, I think of it as a flowchart, right? It's just different options. As far as your kids being able to take a step forward. There may be on this path and realize, hey, this is not for me. This is not where my talent lies. And that's not to say that they can't redirect their focus and try a new way. But if you allow your kids to have the freedom to try new things in a way that encourages them to find their best self. I know with our younger son, it was difficult for him having to follow 4 of his siblings, for him to feel confident in allowing himself to try and discover. And I told him, hey, this is like an expedition, right? You're on a hunt to find your best self. And so failure shouldn't be looked as something that hinders you. It should be looked at, okay, now what? Where's the treasure, right? Where can I find the next best thing?
Those who have been successful, they will say to you that if it wasn't for the failures, if it wasn't for the lessons learned, they would have never understood their success. One of the beautiful things about failure is that it teaches you to be compassionate, it teaches you to be supportive of others, it teaches you to have empathy. That's one of those things that as you fail and fail hard, you can look and be a better support to others who are going through their journey.
I think you're right, Alema. Being at this age and this stage of the game, we've lived enough life and have learned enough lessons that we know it's never easy. And so I love the compassion that you speak of.
You have friends, when you see others and they're failing, it's an opportunity for you to get right by their side and support them and lift them up and say, hey, remember, failure is just a delay of success. One guy would say, the only reason why he succeeded is he took one more rep than his competitor. And that was it.
It's hard to look back on life and realize maybe I shouldn't have given up so soon, Maybe I should have hung in there. We attended the conference and Justin Sua, the mental performance coach, was the keynote speaker. And he...
Shout out to Justin.
Yes. I love Justin's mentality because he shared with us the situation of when Navy SEALs go in on an operation and things don't work out the way they had planned, that they actually think it's a good thing.
It doesn't work out, or they failed in a task.
Yeah.
Good. Because now they move on to the next task.
And so sometimes having that failure lets you see the gaps, right, in your learning, and allows you then to be better prepared than you were having not failed. And so I love that mentality that good things come from, not necessarily perfect situations. So.
There's a beauty in that I see them living their life as life is intended to be lived, to go for it.
Yeah.
Go and try things, do remarkable things, and know that when you fail, it is just a delay. It is just a lesson to be learned. Recalibrate, and then go again. That is the joy in life, I think.
Yeah. There's a term they call that a fail forward, right?
Yep.
Where we are looking to the next step. And I love that because it allows you to use failure as part of the process, right? It's not that it's outside of that process, it's actually inside of the process. And so by you using failure to get better, to do better, to be better, you are able to reach success faster.
It's true. To quote one billionaire who's a great leader in his own right, Mark Cuban. So Mark Cuban stated that his company always strives to be ever learning. That's number one. And then number two, to learn fast, to fail fast, so they're one step ahead of their competitor who's not failing as fast as they are.
Right. I feel like you cut yourself short if you don't tempt failure. Like you're playing it safe. You want to do the things that you think are in your wheelhouse, and you never allow yourself to evolve by not allowing yourself to fail. And so I love it that there is a joy in failure, because that means you're pushing yourself to be your very best. So hopefully we've shed some light on different ways to look at failure and to allow it to move you forward.
What we want to take away is that failure is not fatal. Failure is but a delay to your success. Failure is learning. Failure is necessary in life. It's one of those things you have to go through so that you can grow.
We're so grateful that we have a home that appreciates this learning process, and we hope that you can establish one as well.
If you like what you've heard, go ahead and hit that subscribe button.
And join us in our next video, Motivation.
Manuia.